Let me go over the phone lines and speak to an economist, Dr. Owusu Sarkodie. Good morning, sir, and many thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Grateful. Now, government finally has given authorization for some engagements to begin with the IMF. The timing of this decision, what do you make of it and its impact on our economy going forward?
The timing is good. We are in need of it. Government has run out of options. No matter the policies that the government has, he has to find funds to finance it. Investors have lost confidence in the economy. They are pulling out. They are selling government bonds. They are not willing to buy any more bonds of government of Ghana. And the option now is to seek bailout from the IMF. And you know that Ghana is a member of the IMF. If not, they would not have allowed us to withdraw the $1 billion SDR 2 years ago. So the problem is how we have demonized IMF because of politics. And I'm happy that we have put aside politics to go in for a bailout or whatever you may call it, which will help save lives of people and lives of businesses. I think we are in need of it. All the 16 times that we have gone to the IMF, we were in need of it. IMF is just going to give you stability and policy credibility. Whatever you do with this is up to you as a government.
Doc, now the politicization of the IMF and the fact that this government has made a U-turn and going there. We also know that IMF bailouts or whatever always do come with some conditions. What are the expectations this time? Are we expecting to see some very strict conditions from the IMF?
Obviously, expenditure management, revenue generation. The first point of contact of IMF program is fiscal consolidation. Fiscal consolidation will mean bringing down or closing the gap between revenue and expenditure. So IMF may propose certain revenue measures. May not necessarily be introduction of new taxes, but maybe to strengthen the collection, avenues of the GRA or whatever it is that they have to do to raise revenue without overburdening Ghanaians. And also the expenditure side, as it stands now, government cannot cut down expenditure. What they can do is to be prudent in the management of the expenditure. In any case, which of the expenditures are you going to cut? Is it compensation of employees or interest payments? I don't think so. Maybe because of the IMF program, government of Ghana can renegotiate the payment or defer the payment of interest on the loans that we have contracted. That will help us. But that is the only way that I'm sure the government can have some fiscal space. But when it comes to being prudent, cutting down waste, making sure that you get value for money, you price your projects well, that one I'm sure the IMF will instill discipline in government to do that. My fear and my concern has to do with the social intervention programs, that they should not touch it because some of these social intervention programs are very crucial at this time that we are in difficulties. Imagine cancelling free SHS at this time when fuel prices have gone up, people are feeling the heat in their pocket, inflation is high, exchange rate is somewhere else, and government is cancelling free SHS for parents to pay school fees at this time. It may not be a good idea for us. So I hope that they don't touch on some of the social intervention programs.
Right now, Doc, per the statement we have seen, really it is for the finance minister to formally engage the IMF and invite the fund to support a government of Ghana program. Being specific on the word in that from you as an economist, and of course the homegrown solutions that government had preferred and whether or not they made the necessary impact. What kind of would it be prudent to allow for the IMF to come in with their own program or to go to the IMF with a government of Ghana program and seek support for?
Well, it depends on the assessment of the IMF. If they believe that your homegrown program is good for your economy, then they can give you the support. Remember that in my earlier submission, I mentioned policy credibility. So if you have your own program, why do people doubt your programs. And I personally, somebody has emailed me to ask me whether he should pull out from buying government of Ghana bonds or so. An email from somebody in the U.S. So people have raised questions about our economy. And so it is up to the IMF to believe your policies or not. If they don't trust your policies, they'll throw it away and bring in whatever they think will suit you. For example, discipline or expenditure. That one, no matter what you've written in your policy, they will instill discipline in you to make sure that you cut down waste or you reduce or you remove waste. And my second point is, so the first point is the credibility. If they believe your policy, why not? The second point is financing. Again, no matter how brilliant your policies are, you need financing. And so if they believe that your policies will not attract financing from the financial institutions, then they will give you a policy or a program that will attract financing to stabilize the economy. Remember that all that we are talking about is stability. IMF will not grow your GDP. IMF will not give you jobs. IMF will not industrialize your economy. IMF is only giving you stability. And I repeat, whatever the government does with the stability is up to government.
Now, Doc, with this financing you mentioned as your second point, I'd like to find out what going to the IMF will mean for our debts and, of course, those we owe this debt to. Will this give them some impetus to start demanding payment of their debts?
Yeah, first of all, remember why government was so much in a hurry to pass the e-levy, because the investors had put that they were not sure government would be able to raise domestic revenue to service their debt if they lend their money to government. So the whole issue is about raising domestic revenue to service the debt. Okay? So if they give you the money, are you going to be able to raise revenue to service the debt? But before we talk about raising domestic revenue to service the debt, we must also talk about where the money must come from. So with the IMF program, the investors will be confident in our economy and they'll be willing to lend to government. And then also, I'm sure multilateral organizations can come on board, like the African Development Bank, International Commercial Banks, all those multilaterals will be prepared. The World Bank will be prepared to come and support the government of Ghana that has an IMF program. So it is that credibility that we need to attract financing.
Now, as an economist, if you look at the reluctance, the feet dragging prior to going to the IMF, which largely, of course, we can attribute to politics. But from what you said as an economist, if you look at this, was there really any confidence in the homegrown solutions for which reason we were reluctant to go for the program?
On the part of government, yes, they had confidence. They said they had a Batampa program that they were in need of 100 billion, and they didn't state where they were going to get 100 billion cities from. And as of now, we have known, they haven't told us how much they have been able to raise and all that. So it raises so many questions about the government's own program post-COVID. And therefore, there is a need for us to get this program. The politics of it, when they came, they bastardized the NDC government for taking the economy into the IMF program and all that. But they had forgotten that Ghana is a member of the IMF, and therefore it is there to support countries that are in need of it. So I am so concerned about the politicization of it, because when you go to the market, we don't have a separate price of tomatoes for NDC supporters and NPP supporters. If you go to the pump, there's no fuel price different for MPP supporters and NDC supporters. So I just want us to put a stop to this politicization of government economic programs and economic policies and all that. Yes, you can criticize it. I have been criticizing both NDC and MPP programs, but I mean the over politicization is really killing us. And I am happy that the government has overlooked whether there will be a political capital on the part of NDC. Maybe NDC will come back at them. If NDC comes back at them, it is their own fault. They started it. So, but I just want to see Ghana move forward. So, again, many people didn't believe in the policies of government, and that is why at the beginning of the year they started pulling out of their sovereign bonds.
Right now, Doc, 16 times we've gone to the IMF, 16 times we've suffered same conditions that sent us there the previous time. How are we expected to behave fiscally this time to ensure some sustainability?
Yeah, it's important you raise this question. I mean, it's like you have a child in the house and you tell the child to discipline himself. He doesn't discipline himself, and you take the cane to discipline him. So, I mean, if you don't want any conditionality, so-called, from the IMF program, why don't you discipline yourself in your country? Why do you wait and mess up and you go there? All the 16 times that we have gone there, we had messed up and there was a need for it. So I'm sure when they come, I mean, and again, if you track the record in all the 16 times, anytime the IMF program came to Ghana, they forced, I'm using the word, they coerced, you can use whatever term, coerced, they forced the government to be disciplined, to be fiscally disciplined. So as I said, the emphasis will be on revenue generation and expenditure management. They will make sure that the government is able to meet its revenue targets, plug the loopholes, some of the targets that they have set for itself, they'll meet it. Those who have decided to overprice government projects, all these things will come to light, bring down corruption. And I'm sure they will even take the Auditor General's report and scrutinize it and make sure the government, manages the expenditure side carefully. So that discipline will be instilled in government, whether they like it or not. They'll have that discipline because there's somebody breathing down your neck to do what is right. Other than that, they will pull out. And when they pull out, all your international financing agencies will pull out and your economy will collapse. And we don't need that. And so if you don't want to go back to them, then you must be disciplined. You must be disciplined. We have not been fiscally disciplined as a country over the years. Over the years, we just raise revenue, chop it here and there. I'm using the local Ghanaian balance, chop it, chop the money here and there, left, right, center. I mean, it's not good for us. The few people are enjoying at the expense of the masses. You give contract, somebody overprice the contract, go and see the roads that have been constructed, it's raining now, and there's flooding all over.
Right.
So we have not been disciplined as a country. And I'm happy that the IMF is here to discipline us. If we don't want to discipline ourselves, they are here to discipline us. And I'm sure we will go. And I'm saying that the IMF program is not going to create jobs. The IMF program is not going to industrialize the country. It is not a long-term development strategy that they are bringing.
Right.
All that they are coming to do is stability. They are going to give you stability from the point of view of policy credibility. So, like I said, whatever you do with the stability that the IMF will give to you, it's up to you. If you want to mess up and go back to them, then it's up to you. If you don't want to mess up, then when they give you the stability, try and grow your economy, manage yourself well to the extent that you'll be able to develop your nation. And coming back to the fiscals, it is about revenue generation and expenditure management. I just want, I hope they don't introduce any new taxes. I hope, because of the hardships that we are going through. Any new tax may be counterproductive, but maybe they can make sure that we get some of these revenue collection policies to make sure that everybody comes on board. Everybody. I mean, somebody will just go and take out his car from the port and run away without paying the duties. Who do want to pay the duties for you if you have imported a car? So all these things should be checked. The exemptions, all the tax exemptions, must be cancelled or be reviewed so that we get the value for money in this country.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Owusu Sarkodie.